1, 2, 3, 4. Hi, so welcome to whatever part this is of my little series on sort of building a modular synth, getting started from scratch with a modular synth. Now, if you've watched the other parts of this series, you will notice that, ooh, it's got bigger. Okay, because the last one I had the little mini case, which was kind of up to there, and I thought, well, yeah, that was good for a start, but it wasn't big enough. Obviously I've got to fill all this bit up yet. I suppose I should get some blank panels in there so I don't kind of electrocute myself with all that open, but anyway. So yeah, I got this again. This is another dope foot case. So obviously I can probably get, depending on the size of the modules, up to about 10 in here. And what I've done is I had some spare rack mount ears, so I've just attached these to the side, and I've got this in this rack mount casing thing here, so it's now mounted above my MX1, which is very nice and looks pretty cool. And I'm controlling it from, if I can just get it up here, a beat step, okay, down here, which is similar, I think, to the previous videos. I think I was controlling it from there. So what I'm going to look at in this one is just a little bit more on envelopes. I think I looked previously at just putting an envelope on the VCA. Also, since the last video, I have spent a bit more of my hard-earned cash and actually bought an envelope generator, the A140. So let me just zoom in a bit now. Just so you can see the modules a bit closer up. So we've got VCO. So oscillator, we've got the VCF filter, the A1065 SEM filter, we've got the A140 envelope generator, we've then got a mixer, the A138 mixer, and the A131 VCA. Previously I was using the envelope from the microbrute, which you just need to turn on for later use, I think, which was fine, but it was obviously limiting what I could do with the microbrute. So I thought, right, well, I'll need an envelope generator, and I'm now thinking I probably need another envelope generator for reasons I will talk about in this video. So basic patch I've got at the moment, if I just sort of quickly talk through what I've got, we've got the CV out from the beat step is going into the 1 volt per octave in on the VCO, so that's sending out the pitch information. What I've now done is, because the VCO has got 3 outputs, we've got a sawtooth, we've got a square, and a triangle. So each of those is going into the mixer. So input 1 is the sawtooth, input 2 is the square, and input 3 is the triangle. So that now gives me the options to sort of mix all those together. Very, very similar actually to how the microbrute works, because you can mix the 3 oscillators to there. So, you know, it just gives a few more options of mixing them together, which is quite nice. But for now, I'm just going to stick with the square. Not the square, the sawtooth. So that's input 1, input 2, input 3, and then very straightforward. The output from the mixer is going to the input of the filter. So it gives me filter control over the sound, and then I've got it on the low pass setting at the moment. So the output of the low pass is going into the amplifier, the VCA, and then this is the main output, which is going into the mixer. Then what have we not looked at? The envelope generator. So the envelope generator obviously needs some gate signal to actually trigger the envelope to do something. So this blue cable here is coming from the gate output of the beat step, going into the gate input here. So obviously when I press a key, that's going to now trigger the envelope. As you can see, when I press on here, we get that light. And then the output, I'm taking the output of the envelope generator, is sending then the CV control info to the VCA. So at the moment it's set up pretty much how I did it on the previous video, using the envelope from the microbrute. So we've got a few different settings actually on the envelope generator. So when you've got low, medium and high kind of time range. So if we give it a bit of attack, and a bit of release. So So if I whack those all up to full, okay, we've kind of got sort of mid-range attack times and release times. I can't remember the times, they are in the manual, but they are there. If you go onto the low setting, which is in the middle, even at full volume, they're very short. Okay, you can see that's full attack and it's almost instant and hardly any release. And then on the bottom one, these go ridiculously long. Here's the attack. Right, so I'm pressing my, you'll see when this lights up, I think. No, it doesn't. It's going to get lighter. Right, so I'm pressing my finger on the key now. Okay, and we're not hearing anything. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. It will come on eventually. But as you can see, it's got like a ridiculous attack time on it. So let's turn that right down for now. So that's I've got a ridiculous release time as well. So if you can see, just by turning it up slightly, even to there, okay, at number 1, we've got a really long attack time. Okay, so at 2. Okay, so that one's good if you're stupidly long attack and release times. The release, I've turned that up to like 2. Let's get rid of the attack. Okay, so we can have very long release times. Alright, so there's a few different settings on there which are quite useful. We can also use the retrigger, which I'll probably do later on, which is quite cool. And then we've got an inverse output, which basically kind of flips the envelope round the other way, which I'm not going to do anything with for now. So, so obviously we've already looked in previous examples on using the envelope generator to control the VCA. So previously I did that from the microbrute, and obviously I've just gone through the settings on how to do that now. Now I could patch that straight in to the filter as well. Let's just get a reasonable sound there, because we've got a second output on the envelope generator. So I can take the second output of that and plug that directly into the CV in of the filter, and that envelope will now control both the filter and the VCA. If I turn the resonance up, you'll hear it a bit more. Okay, so we'll give it a bit of sustain down a little bit, a bit more release. Okay, so hopefully you can hear that has changed the sound. If I take that out, okay, here's the sound without the envelope generator onto the filter. Okay, I've got to turn the filter, open it up a little bit. Turn the resonance down a little bit. Okay, and then with the envelope generator in it. Okay, so you can hear that the filter is opening and closing based on the envelope settings on here. Now that's great, but I might not want the envelope to be exactly the same for the VCA and the filter. And obviously if I had another envelope generator, that wouldn't be a problem, or I could take the envelope from the microbrute and so on. But just for the example of this, just to kind of give you an idea of another patch that we could do, is I'm going to basically sort of bypass the envelope on the VCA. So we're just going to have note on, note off, basically, and then we'll route the envelope into the filter. So let me just get rid of a few cables first of all, and we'll get rid of that. So first job is, obviously we still need the gate. Well, hold on, no we don't. Let me just plug this into CV1 first. Right, so that is the gate output from my controller, the beat step. So as I press on the key, we've got instant note on and instant note off. Okay, so it's just like a gate signal. Okay, but what we're going to do is we're going to make the filter open and close that. Now I've not got any splitter modules on here, but that's kind of not much of a problem, because what I've got is, I'll just unplug this. Okay, so I've got one of these very cheap, if you can see it, this thing here. Okay, really cheap cable splitter, which cost me about £1 from Poundland Well, it should be a pound if it's from Poundland, I guess, but it was a pound. Great shop in the UK for cheap crap, Poundland. But actually, this is not bad for cheap crap. So you can put 2 cables in and you get that out. So what I've got is that's going into the gate output of the beat step, and then that's going to give me 2 gate signals coming out which I can use on my modules. So let me just plug that back in. So if I just sort of show you how it's working, here's the blue cable, okay, which is going to the VCA, so that would just go into there, and then I've got a spare cable, this white one is going into there, okay, and then that is going to go to the gate output on the beat step. Okay, so we've now got the gate signal going to VCA, and if I can find the correct cable, this has also got a gate signal coming out of it, which we're going to put into the gate of the envelope generator. Now, depending on the modules that you've got, if I plug that into there, okay, what happens is we don't get any sound. You can see it's actually triggering the gate because we're getting the light there, but we've lost the sound. And I'm guessing that's to do with it's either the routing or the fact that I'm splitting the signal. So what we've got to do is we've got to boost the gain on this CV in until we hear the sound. Okay, now if you go all the way up, we're going to get a constant sound. So we don't want that. We've just got to get it until we can't hear it. And then when I press on the controller, we're getting sound. Okay, so that's still got our note on, note off, and we're getting a trigger signal into the envelope generator. So what we've got to do now is take the output, stick it to the CV in, and we've now got control over the filter. So that envelope generator is now just controlling the filter, and the amp is just giving us note on, note off. Just turn it up a little bit. So if we give it a fairly long attack time, you'll hear the filter opening. Okay, and we've got, let's do a slower decay time, and we'll go down to a lower sustain volume. So basically what's happening is, if I just unplug that for now, this envelope is basically just automating this dial. So when I press on there, it's going, it's basically doing that, okay, without me having to turn it, which is what envelopes do. It's just basically automation. So if we put that back in, and we'll just play back with a few of the settings. Okay, so the sustain level is going to determine kind of where this stays at. Okay, so if the sustain level's all the way up at the top, it's kind of like we've turned that up and it's stayed up there. Okay, so if we take that down to sort of halfway, it's kind of like we're turning that up and then it's coming back down. Okay, so hopefully you can hear that pitching up and down. The release isn't going to do anything for now because we've not got any release time on our amp envelope. Okay, so if we had a longer release time when I let go of the key, that we could get the filter to kind of close as we let go. So that's kind of why I'm thinking I'm going to need to add another envelope generator to here, which I'm trying to find on eBay cheaply. So I can then have an envelope controlling the filter and an envelope controlling the VCA. So hopefully that kind of makes some sort of sense. What I thought I'd do as well is we'll have a look at the retrigger thing, because this is quite cool at getting some effects which we can route to the VCA or the VCF. So we'll just have a look at that. So okay, so yeah, we'll have a look at the retrigger thing. So I've basically got exactly the same patches I had before. The only thing you may have noticed is, because I've just quickly changed this around, I've got this little smaller orange cable, one of the microbrute cables, because I needed a long one to reach from the microbrute to here. So excuse me. So yeah, that's basically as it was before. Let's just get it back to kind of roughly where it was last time. Okay, so that's kind of opening the filter for us. So this cable here, right, this is coming from the gate output on the back of the microbrute, because to do the retrigger thing we need a gate signal to kind of trigger the envelope. So we're going to plug that into the retrigger. Basically what happens is that's going to retrigger the start of the envelope every time it receives a gate signal. So I can, if I hold a finger down on here, the easiest way to do it actually is if I just get a sequence playing on the microbrute. So this is what the sequence is playing. Okay. Now it's irrelevant what notes it's playing because it's not sending out pitch information, it's just sending out gate information. So now that's still playing, okay. I'm going to turn it down because we don't need to hear it. If I now play a note on here, okay, we're not actually going to hear anything because we've got to make the envelope have a certain time frame that will allow that to be re-triggered. So if we just turn the amp down a little bit, the attack down a bit, and we need a lower sustain level because it's kind of re-triggering the first part of the envelope. So you can hear now that's coming in. So if I bring the microbrute back in, okay, you can hear that's in time with that. Okay, I've not got these tuned up, so it sounds a bit awful, but and we can get different settings, obviously, based on our envelope. So you can almost use the sequencer from the microbrute to kind of like an LFO. I can also, if I turn the sequencer off, if I play notes on the microbrute. Okay, so there's me not playing any notes. If I play some notes now, okay, every time I play a note, it's going to re-trigger the envelope. So you can get some quite nice rhythmic changes with the envelope on that. If I just go through a few different sequences I've got programmed in on the microbrute. They're about the same. Oh, there's a slightly different one. So, okay, that's. So they're not very rhythmical at the moment, but there we go. That's the sequence playing on the microbrute, which is basically going to sound the same as the other one. But as I speed the sequencer up on the microbrute, okay, we can get obviously faster and slower changes. Okay, so you can get some quite nice effects with that. And that would work exactly the same. We could route that as well to the VCA, to the amp. So it would. Could we? Hang on, let me think what I'm doing. Gate in. Yeah, sorry, I'm being a bit thick. Yes, I was about to say, but that would need to re-trigger it, wouldn't we? Re-triggering the amp envelope. So to do it that way round, let me see. We still need that in there. We'll bypass the amp now. So this is the gate from the beat step. Let's get rid of that. So I'm not going to put it through the filter. So output from there into the CV of there. And the reason we're not hearing anything is because my filter's not open. Okay, so that's now turning on and off the VCA basically. Okay, and obviously with different attack and decay and release times and so on. We can get different kind of sounds. So that re-trigger it again, it's quite useful sort of thing, particularly if you've not got a dedicated LFO. Obviously it's a bit restricted compared to a full-on dedicated LFO, but all the same it is quite useful. So yeah, hopefully that kind of covers what you wanted to know, or what I wanted to tell you about sort of routing the envelope to different places. We could route it elsewhere as well. We could route it to the pulse width modulation of the VCO and so on. We can kind of route it anywhere. But I'm going to leave that one there for now. Hopefully that gives you enough to go and play about with on your modulars if you have one, or if you're thinking of having one. Hopefully that's of use. So thanks for watching. Usual things, please like, subscribe, share the videos around, check out my music, Spotify, go and follow me on Spotify and all that kind of thing, and I will see you in whatever video I do next. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.